me? Yes, thank you for having me and for the opportunity to contribute to a fascinating discussion. And I very much thank also the previous speakers, including my former colleague Chris, with whom I worked for many years before my current role with ARDD, Jordanian NGO. I also worked for a long time with UNRWA, including a decade in the Gaza Strip, and I thought, building on what Chris said, I make a brief comment about sort of placing the recent development, the recent sort of attack on UNRWA, in sort of a historical context of the relationship between Israel and UNRWA, between UNRWA and Israel. During the first 20 years of UNRWA's establishment, the agency had very little dealings with Israel, because the Gaza Strip was administered by Egypt, and all aid came in through Egypt, and the West Bank was annexed by Jordan, and administratively the operations in the West Bank were also administered through Jordan, and supplies would come in that way. This changed, of course, dramatically already during the Six-Day War, and already on the second or third day, Israel explicitly requested UNRWA to continue its operations, and it only took a matter of days to work out an exchange of letter, a written agreement referred to as the Comey-Michaelmore Agreement, to regulate the continued assistance of the continued assistance by UNRWA to the Palestinian refugee population in Gaza and the West Bank. Now, since that time, so UNRWA is there and continues to be there at the explicit request of Israel. At the same time, it has been a complicated relationship, a kind of hatred-love relationship. On the one hand, Israel realized full well that as an occupying power, if UNRWA were not there, it would have the obligation to provide humanitarian services to the refugee community, as Israel did until the establishment of the Palestinian Authority for the non-refugee population in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank. On the other hand, UNRWA was different from other UN agencies in that 99.9% of its personnel are Palestinian refugees themselves, or otherwise nationals of the host countries where the agency operates. And in that sense, it did not see sort of UNRWA as a real international organization. So it saw it more as a Palestinian organization with sort of a minimal international oversight. So that's one reason why Israel has sort of dealt with UNRWA with a continued suspicion. It also quite rapidly discovered that UNRWA was sort of the soft underbelly of the UN system, that if you wanted to criticize the UN, you didn't have to go to criticize New York or the principal organs of the UN. You could criticize UNRWA, as it has frequently done. You know, the current situation that we see, and Chris referred also to earlier instances. I mean, it has been cyclical. Every now and then, when Israel felt the need to deflect attention away from, negative attention on its conduct away in different directions, it has frequently resorted to criticizing the agency, criticizing neutrality, criticizing social media postings by its employees, criticizing the use of textbook in the schools, and so forth. So that has been one reason for Israel to sort of both an easy target and a useful tool to sort of deflect attention. And again, Chris already mentioned it. It was it was no coincidence with this latest incident or with this latest assault that happened hours after the ICJ ruling. Well, another sort of reason why Israel frequently challenges the agency, or continuously challenges the agency, that's also where the right-wing criticism comes in, is that UNRWA was created shortly after the UN General Assembly determined that the refugee solution should be found primarily through return. The infamous Resolution 194 of December 48 sort of determining that. UNRWA was created a year later when the Conciliation Commission for Palestine, headed by the US, realized that this return was not likely to happen, and that more focus on local integration in host countries should be made, and that was something that almost from the beginning host countries and refugees themselves were suspicious about, especially when 15 years later the Conciliation Commission for Palestine became defunct. UNRWA did not step into the vacuum to sort of advocate for return and potentially other durable solutions, and the Palestinians became the only category of forced displaced without an agency seeking durable solutions to their plight. And in that vacuum, in that protection gap, the very existence of UNRWA became a symbol for the right of return, for the unresolved permanent international responsibility of the international community, for the unresolved question of Palestine. And that's why the refugees attach so much to UNRWA, not only as a service institution providing critical services, but also as a symbol of their unresolved plight. And that's why Israel, on the other hand, realizing that this is the case, wants to close the agency down. So ideally, they would want another agency to provide these services that is not sort of connected to the right of return, and sort of in that way, sort of do away with the international responsibility to still find a just and durable solution to the refugees' plight. And as Chris said, even if you do away with UNRWA, the right of return flows not from Resolution 194, it flows from the illegality of the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. So even if you would do away with Resolution 194, if you would do away with UNRWA, the refugees continue to have their rights and will continue to fight for their rights and to assert their rights.